Howdy, guys. I will be reviewing a Bible commentary. It's called let me fix the cover. It's called the ESV Study Bible, and it's super thick, super heavy. Um, it has a lot of extra information for the Bible. Um, it's got a lot of illustrations. I wish I could show you the table of contents, but basically, it's the Bible crunched with a bunch of articles. So you have, right, the Old Testament and the New Testament. Before the Old Testament, there were a bunch of articles that are written by a lot of different scholars, theologians. And then in between the Old Testament and the New Testament, there's even more articles. And then after the New Testament, there's more articles. Um, Throughout the Testaments, there are a bunch of illustrations where they show graphs and pictures and statistics and pictures of like the tabernacle, pictures of the geography, the war path in the different wars that happen, illustrations on how the Jews went away from God and where they went when Israel was destroyed, and basically time periods where they have graphs of different time periods and when things happened. So the book is they it's written by a lot of people, a lot of theologians, a lot of scholars. They there isn't any one author, and it's basically a very thick book with comments throughout the Bible and a bunch of articles squished inside of it. And it's very useful. Before every single book of the Bible, there is an explanation of history, theology, and time periods. I read half the Old Testament with it and half the New Testament with it. And there are some good things and some bad things about it. The biggest bad thing is it's a super thick book with sensitive pages. The spine is very strong and robust, but the pages are very thin. And once you bend them, that's it. They're bent. You can't fix it. And if you buy the physical version on Amazon, which is like $60 and sometimes down to $30, you could get the Kindle version a lot cheaper after that. But it has a lot of commentary. Now, is it good? It's only good for specific things like theology. It's not so great because there's a mix of doctrines in it. So you don't get a real taste of one or two doctrines. It's more of um, it's more of a mix, which means it's not deep. It and it tries to explain the Bible's meaning, but it doesn't explain any type of specific way or doctrine or denomination throughout the whole Bible. Now, it does have a bunch of articles explaining the history of denominations and the history of Protestant religions. Now, the ESV is actually a Protestant book, not the ESV version of the Bible, but the ESV commentary. I just call it the ESV, which is not cool, but this study Bible, it's interesting. It mostly does history and history of pretty much everything with the illustrations, which means it's very, very good for understanding the history with pictures, timelines, and the Bible without all the commentary and illustrations. You're not going to learn as much with this Bible. You're going to learn a lot, but you can't carry it anywhere. It's too heavy, and you have to be careful. You can't get water in it at all. You can't bend the pages, so you end up having to stay in one spot with the book for long periods of time to understand it. and the information is super dense as well, so you won't be able to get through a lot of it at once. But if you read the New Testament, it's very underwhelming. You don't get a lot of good information or a lot of good theology because it's a mix. And it's a Protestant study Bible, so that means the Apocrypha is not in it. It explains the Apocrypha, but it doesn't actually have it, really written out with commentary. It's the English Standard Version with commentary, and mostly, like I said before, mostly the best thing you're going to get from it is the history and the context of what's going on politically and what has happened in the past. So yeah, that's the ESV Study Bible. Is it good? Very, but it's a bit niche. It's best for history. And there are other study Bibles that are better for theology, for understanding different doctrines specifically. And if you are in pastoral care or something, I think it would be really good to understand the history, because it's the basis of the Bible, right? The Torah explaining how the Jews went away and to God, and how that applies to us as Christians when we go away and to Christ. So it's very good. Just be aware that the theology is very weak. The history is very strong in the study Bible. It's thick, and it's written by a large amount of people. So things don't get specific, and it changes moods, tone, and writing style quite a bit, which is actually a bit refreshing. But the editor, the publisher as well, did a very good job of making it seem like one person wrote the whole thing, when in reality it was a bunch of scholars. So that's my review of this ESV Bible study Bible. So yeah, hope you learned something.